In today's video, we're going to be looking at when everyone forgets you. We're going to look at Joseph's strategy. We're in the book of Genesis. Joseph's strategy in the waiting room season. That's what we're going to be talking about today. Joseph, he helped the cupbearer get his job back, and he just asked one thing of him, and that was to remember me. And many times when we are out here in this job market and you're a woman over 45 and you're struggling to stand out in today's job market, it's a challenge. The waiting season is a challenge. So in today's video, we're going to look at the strategies that Joseph did. We're going to look at his strategies for that waiting time, because that was a serious time. We're going to look in Genesis chapter 40, verses 14 and 15. We're going to start there. I'm going to read from the King James Version. Now, I'm going to be giving you the strategies, the three-step strategies that we're going to use in our waiting season. But we want to start out with the scripture so that we can see how Joseph managed. So Genesis chapter 40, verses 14 and 15, it says, "But remember me when it is well with you, and please show kindness to me. Make mention of me to Pharaoh and get me out of this house," out of that prison. "For indeed I was stolen away from the land and of the Hebrews, and also I have done nothing here that they should put me into the dungeon." So really, Joseph knew he had done nothing. He just asked the cupbearer to remember him because he was forgotten. It is very challenging for us to feel forgotten in those seasons of transition when there's nothing happening, when we're putting in those resumes, when we're doing everything that we know to do, but we're still not getting anywhere. What's happening? We're praying, we're asking God, we're seeking the Lord's face. In Genesis chapter 40, let's go down to verse 23. The chief cupbearer did not remember Joseph. He actually forgot him. So let's go down to verse 23. It says, "Yet the chief butler did not remember Joseph, but forgot him." So he was forgotten. And what does it mean to be forgotten? I looked that up in the dictionary. It means to lose remembrance of, to let go from memory. Now, do we really forget? Do we really forget something? Do we really forget those things? Now, we can put them into the back of our mind, but I really don't think that we ever forget, because there's always triggers. There's always something that reminds you of a past incident. And when it does, it's how we manage those thoughts, those feelings, all of those things that bother us when we're in this season of forgetfulness. Now, you've been searching for your job for about 12 months and nothing has happened. You've networked, you're doing everything that you know to do. And people will even tell you, "Oh, I'll keep you in and I'll get back with you." And then nothing. You feel ghosted. There's nothing going on. You feel invisible and forgotten. Now, what was Joseph's strategy in all of this when he was forgotten? Let's look at his strategies. The strategy number one, or the step number one, is that he stayed ready. So let's look at that in Genesis chapter 41, verse 14. Turn in your Bibles or on your phone if you have that. Genesis chapter 41. We're going to look at verse 14. Turn over here. It says, "Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph and brought him quickly out of the dungeon, and he shaved, changed his clothing, and came to Pharaoh." Now, he had been stuck there for 2 years after the butler. Now, the baker was killed. He had his head cut off. The butler, Pharaoh restored him, but he forgot him. He didn't say anything about Joseph being in prison and the things that Joseph had asked him to do. But what did Joseph do during this 2-year time? Because it was almost 2 years. He remembered him when it came time for dream interpretation, because he remembered that Joseph had interpreted his dream and the baker's dream, although it didn't turn out well for the baker. But for the butler, it turned out well, and he just totally forgot. He got wrapped up in his own thing, and he forgot about him. And sometimes even when people forget you, it might not even be intentional. We have to understand that everybody is going through a seasons or different difficulties maybe in their lives, and that maybe be stressed out and not really feeling the compassion for you that you might have felt during that particular conversation or that time. So Pharaoh sent for Joseph and he quickly brought him out of the dungeon. Now, this was an opportunity because Joseph had an opportunity, but he was ready. He stayed sharp. So what do you need to do? What is it that you need to do? How can you stay sharp? Well, this is how you do it. You take some online courses. You can go to Coursera, Google, some of these. They have a lot of free courses, but don't be just willy-nilly with it. Don't just take any old course to say that I'm taking AI. It may not even work for you. Sometimes we get caught up in what everyone else is doing and not listening to what God is asking us to do in our season and at our time. What is it that you particularly, my sister, need to do? You have so many different directions that you want to go in this season. Well, I can do this and I can do that and I can do this and that. But it has to be more. You're going to have to narrow it down and make it strategic so that you can get somewhere in that. So you can stand out in that thing. You can volunteer. You can do some volunteer projects, but make sure it's in the area that you want your new job or your new career. Don't just say, well, let me go volunteer over here at the animal shelter and you want to do something different. You want to work in the theater. You can't mix the two careers together and think that that's going to improve your standing and make you a standout. You can do side consulting. You have something to say. You have something to offer. Don't ever think that. And practice your interview skills. Practice your interviewing skills. What do I need to know? How do I need to say? What company am I looking for? That's why when you have too many companies or too many directions, you need to pinpoint those potential passion and purpose. And that's what our coaching is about. When you are down in there and you're getting to the point of what it is that I really, really, really need to do. Now, the second step, first thing, he stayed ready. The second step, he trusted God's timing over his own. I think that's the biggest issue that all of us have, is to trust in God's timing. There are things that I've been praying for years, or things that I've been praying for weeks or months. And all of these things are in my journal, they're in my prayer. And it's like, Lord, why? Why is this not happening? He trusted God's timing. Genesis 41:1. Let's go over there. Genesis chapter 41, verse 1. It says, then it came to pass at the end of 2 full years. He had been forgotten for 2 full years, that Pharaoh had a dream, and behold, he stood by the river. So, then there in the Genesis 41, it goes on to explain Pharaoh's dream. But it took, 2 years before he was even recognized. And he was a young man. He wasn't old, but he was a young man at this time. Now, if the cupbearer had remembered him immediately, let's just think about this. Joseph would have been released back into Potiphar's house or back underneath Potiphar if he had just got out right away. See, God had it set up to where that waiting time was strategic in God's eyes. Why is it taking so long? When I was teaching Bible school and at our church, I would always use the analogy of the fast food, where you pull up to the speaker and you put your order in, and then you drive around and you pick it up. Well, when you put the order in, it doesn't pop out of the order box. They have to create it. They have to make it. They have to put things together and line it up. And you're driving around. That's your waiting time. And then when you get that thing that you're asking for, it had to be prepared for you. So that's the analogy I would always use, because I think it's important for us to realize, we might be in that fast food line. We want it yesterday. Even though we're over 45, we still want it yesterday. We still in that instant, everything now. I need an answer today. How come we can't do this, that, and the other? Lord, why this, that, and the other? Now, I was asking God why, but I'm always in the when box. When is this going to happen, Lord? When is this going to happen? It's taking a long time. I thought it would be this. I thought it would be that. And see, that's the problem. It's my thoughts. It's not God's thoughts. And that can be our issues as well. So he waited on God's timing, and God had a better destination for him, because Pharaoh had the dream. And what happened to Joseph? What happened to Joseph when he interpreted that dream? He went from being in prison to being the second in command. God had prepared him for a larger platform. Now, he wasn't just sitting in the prison, just moping around. He was still doing the job that he was doing while he was in there in the first place, even before the dreams. He was still managing that. So, what do? You have to be uh, proactive during this time because you don't know. God was protecting him from, he might be protecting you when you put in that job and you didn't get it. He might be protecting you from a toxic situation. He might be uh, having that perfect timing because he doesn't want you to step into something that you think is going to be great and it turns out to be a disaster. In Psalm number 31, verse 15, I'm just going to read it. It says, "My times are in your hands." So our times are in God's hands, not in the recruiter's time, not in our time. And this is very important. So step number 3 is that he was prepared for a larger platform. So he stayed ready. So Joseph stayed ready. He trusted in God's timing. And then God prepared him for an even larger platform. A lot of us know this story, but what happened to Joseph? Let's look at Genesis chapter 41, verses 39. Let's go over there. And this is the New King James Version I'm reading out of. Okay, verse 39 through 41. It says, "Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, inasmuch as God has shown you all this, there is no one else discerning and as wise as you. You shall be over my house, and all my people shall be ruled according to your word. Only in regard to the throne will I be greater than you." And Pharaoh said to Joseph, "See, I have set you over all the land of Egypt." Wow. He waited. He just knew he was forgotten. He felt all of these kind of way. And then when it was his time and his season, he was over all of Egypt, not some of Egypt. He was over all of Egypt. So he went from that, from prison to the palace, as a lot of people say. So his waiting time was not wasted. What if your waiting time is preparing you for something bigger than you're applying for? What if it's something bigger than you're applying for? So I want you to write and answer these questions in your journal. What is God teaching me in this season? Now, this is in our waiting season. This is the time that we're feeling forgotten when, and it's a hard thing. It's a hurtful thing. It's challenging in between jobs or, getting fired, thinking about all of these things. Our minds just race because we don't know the future. We don't know what God has in store for us, but we have to quiet ourselves sometimes and just listen. What is God teaching me in this season? What is he teaching me? What character is he developing in me? What do I need to develop? That's why you take some of those courses, to improve yourself, get yourself some new skills. What skills is he sharpening in me? And it's not just patience. Everybody says, well, I'm getting patient. Well, that gets real old. There has to be some other things that God is dealing with you about. What perspective am I gaining that I'll need later? So it wasn't wasted. It's really preparation time. Do that mind shift and reframe how you're looking at everything. Look at it as preparation time, because every time you do put in that application and it gets rejected, you're learning something from that experience. And you need to have a takeaway from those experiences that, okay, I'll do, just 2% or 3% better the next time. Make notes of the things that are challenging you at this time. So let's look at Genesis 41 and 16. One of the things that he did is that he gave God the credit. So let's look at Genesis 41 and let's go to verse 16. And even though we're feeling this way, it says, "So Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, 'It is not me. God will give Pharaoh an answer of peace. So in other words, he didn't take the credit for the interpretation of the dream. He knew that that came from God. And when you step in front of those interviews, when you're going to do the thing that you want to do, you have to know that God is with you. You have to have confidence. We have to trust God. We have to have faith in God and in the things that he's asking us to do. When Joseph's moment came, he gave God credit. Your breakthrough is coming, and when it does, you'll know it was God. And you were positioned for such a time as that. You are positioned for that. So if you're feeling forgotten in the season and you need encouragement, God hasn't forgotten you. The Career Transition Prayer and Promises devotional that I put together really is a daily scripture, and it helps you scriptures and prayers and promises that you can, read and confess and pray over during the season that you're feeling invisible. And if you need those strategies, just check out the links, check out our landing page, check out the things that we have, the resources that we have that are available for you. If you sign up and join our email list, there's some free resources that I have created that would help you with all of the steps and the things that you may need to know, that you may need to sharpen up. There are things that we're always learning something. I have not arrived. You have not arrived. We're still living, and God has a plan for your life. And don't just discount everything that you're doing. Take advantage of all of those things. Write those things down. And so we're going to look in the next video. We're going to look at Joseph's interview. How did he interview when he had that opportunity to talk to Pharaoh? What did he do? Now we know that he was ready. We know that he was prepared. We know that he gave God the credit. We know that he kept sharp. So let's look at that process. Let's look at that interview process in the next video. So I hope this is helpful to you. If it is, please put a comment in the comment section. I'd love to hear from you. And what are you struggling with? What are you struggling with in your job search? There are things that you're struggling with that I may not be addressing here, but it will be great to know that so that we can share that with everyone. Thank you so much for being a part of the broadcast today, and you have a great one.